bar, so I can't pay attention to a screen, but feel free to have it up. Probably in 10 minutes, I'll be able to look at the screen.
Perfect. Yeah, sounds good. Cool. So yeah, I mean, I've been dealing with it for a long time. What I love about General Strike US is that it is the only organization I've ever found in my entire life, and I've been doing this for decades, that
Yeah.
is actually decentralized in any capacity
Oh,
whatsoever.
okay.
Right? So there is potential that there's other organizations that are decentralized, but I haven't found them. And
Yeah.
the ones that always say they're decentralized or be like, Indivisible, or even sometimes Move On, or even sometimes like, some of these bigger organizations.
Yeah.
But in my experience, they're not, right? They are distributed, and they're usually distributed with a centralized brand. So the branding is controlled top down, and then
Yeah.
there's a centralized, nonprofit or controlling system, and then each individual chapter has very little to no power. And then even if it does have a representative, it's still not decentralized, and then they ban me just because of who I am, right? And it's just really weird.
Oh,
Like
God.
5051, for example,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of times they just don't really function decentralized, and certainly do not have decentralization as one of their values. So GSUS not only it has decentralization in its values, which is unbelievable, but it also functions somewhat in a decentralized way, right? So if we go to a normal organization and we post that we are starting a new strike group, they would kick us out, right? GSUS won't kick us out because
Okay.
we're decentralized, right? So we can start whatever we want to and collaborate with them in collaboration with different strike, systems and parallel systems. And it's according to their rules is perfectly fine. Whereas you post something in another place, like 5021, I posted a link to Jitsi and I got banned for it, right? So, which is insane.
Wow.
So basically, I am pretty impressed with GSUS. The problem is that it doesn't operate decentralized. It has a lot of top-down things that are not decentralized. It has no way of addressing issues. It utilizes, like, their interpretation of decentralization is the idea that basically there's no structure, which is secret for we're in power and we don't want anyone to question our power, right? So you have basically when you mentioned about like the secret stuff, for me, secrecy is not at all personal. It's not at all anything. It's literally just a definition. So when you look at the world in the perspective of decentralization and decentralized audio and video experiences, the way that I interpret it is that it is actually, how would you say, like you have to have public audio and video streaming to have decentralization, because otherwise the actual experience is controlled by someone else, right? It's no longer decentralized, right? And so for me, having a recording that's public and you can do anything you want with is a very different perspective than the rest of the world. So we use that vocabulary as public to mean public broadcast, public accessibility, public audio and video. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
would you have a chance to check out my exploration about decentralization regarding an organization and trying to pinpoint pain points with efficiency, accountability, etc.?
Yes, we can definitely talk about it. Let me just finish what I was saying real quick, which was that with public as a vocabulary term, private now means any organization that records but doesn't share the recording external from the organization. That would be a private recording, right? So private organizations can record everything, document it all, but then they don't share it with anyone who's outside of the organization. That would be a private communication strategy. So we define a secret communication strategy, which is normal everyday conversation, as internal communication within an organization that the rest of the organization is not privy to. That would be a secret conversation. So any communication that's happening where the rest of the organization doesn't have access to it is by definition secret.
Right.
right? So basically, it's just a definition. It's nothing personal. It's nothing anything. It's just like most communication within GSUS is secret.
Would an analogy be considered like open source?
Open source would be public.
No, I mean like as far as it being non-open source.
Sure, non-open source, yeah, that's possible. But it's just a communication style. And it's interesting because normal communication with everyday normal people and everyday normal life is secret. That's what communication is on a normal level. But when we're talking about power structures that affect 10 billion people on the entire planet, and we're trying to transform
Right.
democracy, transform AI systems, transform the whole system of how healthcare and everything affecting millions and billions of people, why should that be secret, right? It doesn't make any sense unless you want to continue the power structures of the elite, which is what we have now, right? Anyways,
Right.
let's shift to what you were talking about in terms of decentralization. You said you wanted to shift a little bit, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But we don't have to. We can always save this for another time.
That's right. Let's at least log it down as a potential next step. So just summarize
Okay.
it for me, and I can log it down in the notes. I got the notes open here. So this is our session today is a Strike Coalition session, right? So what is the potential topic?
So the only reason why I started to explore the concepts of the decentralized organization was because I could already feel and see the inefficiencies.
Inefficiencies,
Without a lot of structure, it reduces efficiency. And so I was looking into, what makes a decentralized system in regards to organizations for the betterment of society. And I first started with an example. I think it was May Day that Bubbles was mentioning. And I just said, I inquired about, was it ethical? Is there any third-party resources of their leadership structure and how they work and function? There are not. And then I just made a tangent off and just started talking about a theoretical organization with decentralization and how would you implement one that has accountability, that how would it function, just details. Like basically I just kept on asking questions that would make the organization more efficient, equitable, and accountable. And it would give me a list of mechanisms and structures that could accomplish that. And if I had more time, I would just keep boiling down.
Yeah. So I would define a decentralized organization very, very, very simply. And I would say that it is infinitely flexible. You can create any kind of structure you want. You can have a decentralized organization can be more structured than a non-decentralized one. And that the primary defining term of it is that a decentralized organization can always fork. Right? The concept of forking, which is a concept that was presented to me through crypto, right? But we have been using it within our organizing systems for years and years. But then what we're doing is forking, right? So the concept of forking an organization is genius. And it makes so much sense.
Is it forking?
Forking.
Okay, yeah.
It's not dividing. It's like
Autonomous.
duplicating, right? It's like duplicating and going in two separate directions, right? So the ability to push a button and duplicate and go separate directions without having to destroy is the essence of decentralized organizing. So you can both fork and you can merge, right? But the merger of organizations in a decentralized model is very different than the merger of two centralized organizations. When you have a merger, you don't need to merge anything with decentralization. Like the slogan I love to use is one decentralized organization is all decentralized organizations. right? Because if you're truly decentralized, there's no difference between you and every single other organization. And it's the same thing with crypto. There's no such thing as like, crypto with Bitcoin and crypto with Ethereum and crypto with this on and crypto with this. There's just crypto, because one single decentralized system is all single decentralized cryptocurrencies. It's all crypto. And it's all, once you have one crypto, you can interlace it into every single other crypto with a click of a button, right? So there like one crypto network is all crypto networks. They're all the same, right? They're all crypto.
Right.
They all interconnect. There could be some differentiations over time that will evolve into different branches and different directions that eventually won't be able to reconnect, especially as you have the singularity, and like, Bitcoin might get completely destroyed with quantum computing, right? So you have new networks of crypto that's quantum crypto, right? So quantum crypto might be very different than normal crypto, right? As far as its compatibility. So, but anyways, if once you understand the idea of forking, what we're doing is not really separating from General Strike. We are still part of General Strike. We're just creating an umbrella above it, which would be the overall strike coalition, all different types of strikes, right? And I actually think that the shutdown of the government is actually a type of strike, like could be overlapping with different types of strikes,
Technically, yes.
Yeah. Because it matches very, very interesting things. I mean, you have demands, you've got, clear grievances, you have negotiations for contracts and agreements, and you also have people who are out of the job, who no longer can work, who are working for free, and who are out of food and don't have resources. So you have this very similar structure for what's going on with the shutdown as you do for a normal strike or a general strike, right? So for me, it's an interesting opportunity to practice with people being out of food across the entire country. From there, I would say like that you're totally right that getting clear structure is very, very important, and you don't need to, like, decentralization has nothing to do with giving up structure, right? Why would you have to give up structure to be decentralized? That doesn't make any sense. Right? So if you choose to not have a structure in your organization, you choose to have chaos, that's a choice. It has nothing to do with decentralization. Does that make sense? Hello? I think I lost you.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay. I thought it was my Bluetooth.
All right, I can hear you again. Perfect. Yeah. Good.
Okay.
So I was just saying that, like, that structure has nothing to do with decentralization, that you can have a very, very structured organization that's decentralized. You can also you can make a choice to have no structure at all and just have chaos. And if that's what your choice is, to have a chaotic structure, a chaotic processes, that's your choice. It has nothing to do with whether you're decentralized or not. You know what I mean?
Right.
So for example, the most important thing for forking, right? Do you understand this concept of forking?
Yeah.
So the most important essence of forking is that you need to log every single decision that the organization has ever made, and you log that all together, and then when you fork it, you duplicate all the decisions that the organization has ever made. So now you have two versions, and now one version makes a new decision that then the old version no longer does. So now you have two separate versions of all the old policies and the new decisions with the new changes between the two. And then as you move forward, the changes can continue to differentiate. So I have asked for the list of decisions by General Strike many, many times, and they have never been able to produce anything. So they do not have documentation of their decision-making process, and they don't have documented decisions.
Yeah, it's not surprising.
Yeah. So it's like not forkable, right? It's like you can't really fork it. So we can create our own strike group, but we can't fork from something that doesn't even exist, basically. Right?
That's why, like, I've already decided that
it's just
I don't really care about sticking with GS US or even GS NorCal. Like, it seems like they're just like, the consensus I've seen is that people are urgently trying to get mutual aid, and I understand that, totally understand, and that's what they're focused on. They're fundraising, mutual aid, And someone put it pretty bluntly. Did you see the comment this coach character said
No.
after Bubbles posted the fundraising links? He said, are you guys just going for this money grab basically? And when are you going to do real work? And that's how I felt the entire time. Like, when are we going to do this real work? And no one seems to like really want to. Like, it just seems like people just want to complain. People just want to, trauma bond, and that's great and all. And there's a place for that, but we're here to do work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, the foundation of work is questioning, right? Because I mean, obviously things have been done. The problem is whatever has been done is not questionable. You can't question the past, so you can only do something that's separate from what anyone else has done before, which doesn't make any sense. If you're joining an organization, the whole point is to make it better. But if you can't even touch anything that exists, then you can't actually
Yeah.
question anything, and then it just there's nothing, right? Because basically every single moment of every single experience, you just have to create something new that never connects to anything previous, and so it's
Yeah.
just creating this spiral of nothingness, right? So,
So from
but
what
we're changing
if I
that
could
in
interject
Yorktown.
real
We're
quick
trying to
too,
change that. Yeah.
I just want to let you know how I understand things so far.
Mhm.
What you're saying in a nutshell is that we can't build upon what's been built if there's no transparency.
Correct. Exactly. That's why a decentralized organization really, truly must be public. Because if nobody has access to the information, then you can't fork it, right? So the reason why
Yeah.
Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the other things are forkable is because they're completely transparent, they're completely public, they're completely open, they're decentralized. It's open.
I also want to make another note that
Yeah.
I love the concept of forking because to me, that's just telling me that it's organic,
Yeah.
that you're building new life, you're building creativity, you're building innovation within bettering society. And I love that.
Yeah. And so when we present anything as a model, like our co-ops and our whole coalition model, anybody can just be like, we don't like how you're doing it, and what we tell them is like, okay, change whatever you want. You can just fork everything that we have right now. You can fork it and create a new model for however you want to do it, or you can just create whatever you want new, and we'll help you. Create
So
something
in
better
my
than us. We don't care. you know.
So I want to highlight in my last link, AI conversation link,
Okay.
I did explore the concept of dissent and bad actors
Yeah.
and how to create preventative measures. And if you are able to scroll all the way down, it's pretty far down. The AI does give examples of preventative measures that create transparency and accountability. And
Accountability. Exactly.
yes, because like since this is a decentralized system, anyone is joining. And if you remember the previous topic that I was exploring very deeply, I mean, there is a high probability that someone with what is it? Well, how should I describe it? Someone with disruptive nature to our cause could create negative impacts on our organization and just try to destroy everything. And we wouldn't even know what was happening if we don't have these mechanisms in place. So I think it is core and essential to create these mechanisms so that we retain the decentralization, retain the core mission, um, and to actually preserve our organization as well.
Yeah, and that's why I think that general strike is extremely important, right? So if we are going to create a strike coalition, its connector point is general strike. And even though we know it has lots of problems, we are still here to preserve what exists because it does have energy, it does have management, it does have inherent value, even if it is not very functional. So if we can, so it makes much more sense to build and co-create in a experiential reality of an existing world, right? It doesn't make sense to break off just for the sake of breaking off to have no relationship with anything else, right? So the idea is that by building new and showing leadership through example, you can affect everything around you in a living ecosystem of society and environment and the universe that you're not separate from. So no matter how much you might want to disconnect from General Strike, in the end, it still exists, and therefore there is always a relationship there. It doesn't make sense to completely disregard it, right? And the same thing would be true with our government. Our government is a complete disaster, but you don't completely separate from it, because all of your work is there to like think about it this way. The singularity in terms of human organizational form is an organization that is so well functional, and not even necessarily an organization, a whole ecosystem of organizations, that it is a beacon to all organizations across the world and transforms every organization. That if no organization follows suit with it, it'll be irrelevant, right? So the ideal organization in a decentralized way is an organization that affects all other organizations. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
My mind works a little differently, and I know for a fact you're way more compassionate and you have a broader view, more so than I do. Like, I'm a type of mind that would rather. I'm not saying we need to burn our bridges, because I think that if we create something new and our momentum surpasses theirs, they can always join their momentum with ours. I'd rather start fresh and build it right than build upon what's already like flawed to begin with.
Yeah, but you can do both, because it's decentralized, right? So we're building afresh. You can build new. Well, technically, I'm not even building fresh. I'm building within the co-op ecosystem that we have, right? And then we can also spin off of that, and we can create other things that are totally separate, right? But the point is that you can do and both. There's no necessary reason to only do one or the other. And in the model that I do, like the most silliest, most ridiculous thing of AI of all time. AI is supposed to be all magical, right? It can do anything, right? You can push a button and it can just process unlimited amounts of data, right? Right?
I'm here, yeah.
Yeah. So, but as far as Google is concerned, and like other, AI systems, ChatGPT, all this stuff, their AI systems can crawl the entire web, steal information from all over the entire world, use that for its own systems, and make billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars eventually. And it can't possibly know where it sourced its information to pay back the groups that gave it that value. Right? That's the biggest bullshit ever. The AI systems can easily track every single point of value in every single moment of every single input of everything with a click of a button. They're not doing it because they want to steal. They want to take all of that value, and they want to just make billions of dollars for themselves, right? It's obvious, right? So in our model, everything's about value, and everything's about continuity and continuity of value. And it's not about money. It's about real intrinsic value, real value of understanding things. So in our model and my understanding and my connection with you, I will never, ever connect with you and work with you outside of the context where you go all the way back to the root. Boom, you hit and you link with General Strike, because that is what connected us. There is a value in General Strike that we will never be separated from, in my perspective of continuity of value and connections and data, right? So in our model, all contributions are considered valuable. And the contribution that me and you came together through General Strike is just automatic in our system. And it is expressed as a contribution, and it is continuous forever. So if we make billions of dollars one day because of all the AI and the whole systems, we create the most amazing organization of ever, that would link back to General Strike at some level. In our model, we would automatically bring that value to General Strike. It would just be automatic. It's not even questioned. In our systems, where whoever makes any contribution, it's automatic value and it's automatically distributed. We cannot question it.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So, but I also understand where you're coming from, that yes, like why even consider the waste, right? But our whole human society is just surrounded by waste and disaster and mud and muck and horribleness, right? And greed and you know conflict, right? We're just surrounded by it everywhere. So if all we try to do is get away from it, there's nowhere to really go. you know so
Yeah.
yeah, could there always be disappointed because it's like, we have our problems too. I mean, there's no like perfect system, but I can give you an update on everything I'm working on. I mean, by tomorrow, the next day, we'll have a general no, it's Strike Coalition website. So we're doing strike.coalition.community, right? So we'll have that all set up, and then I'm also working on some of the new communications, and then I already have a really cool um, initial rules framework. So I'm calling this the communal framework for collaboration, and I'm going to propose this for NorCal too. But we can just copy and utilize this for our own versions, and then plug in all of our co-op systems for our code of conduct and our moderation systems, our conflict mediation policies, our meeting culture and structural policies, like, and how it all works together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So it's just a matter of like framing it all, interconnecting it all, presenting it all. And I mean, GSUS, yeah, it's a huge pain in the butt and there's all these things going on. But NorCal, we're proposing the general main group today as a final decision making. And so it'll be our first, in essence, main group session today. And we're going to be proposing that as a structure where the main group has basically total centralized power and control over Northern California General Strike, which would mean that it would now create a centralized decision-making authority over Northern California General Strike, separate from national, to make its own independent, interdependent decisions. And what's important about that is that when you centralize decision-making, you decentralize power. Right? So now,
what are the chances that they would disagree or agree or accept the proposal?
well, the proposal basically has already passed. Besides what we're going to do today, which will be the certification. So if you, yeah, so today is the certification, right? So if you look at uh, the actual results, looks like, we have community bulletin. What did it say? After huge winds last night, people across the country are feeling something they haven't felt in a long time. Wonderful. Okay. So, is this that donation thing that you're talking about?
Yeah, and the guy down there, he's criticizing basically my thoughts in a more blunt fashion, but
yeah. Well, my problem
he's hitting the nail.
My problem with Bubbles is you look at her announcements and she just announced all this stuff that's just not necessarily agreed to. Like, she's not talking for Northern California. She's talking for her own things, It's like, where does she get all this stuff from? Does it come from national? Does it come from somewhere else?
It's so random.
It's random.
I didn't even know it was all her.
Yeah, it's just all her.
I see other users posting.
Yeah, she's the only one who can post on announcements. I can't.
So I mean, is are there other users though?
I can post the community bulletin, but I can't post in announcements. Yeah. So community bulletins, you should be able to post whatever you want to, really. Because anyone can.
All these other users, like from different areas of Northern California, posting things, and I just thought, okay, yeah, I mean, this is community bulletin, that's cool. But what posts are you talking about as far as her own posts being kind of sporadic, or not sporadic, but like random and stuff
well, let's
like
look
that?
at the announcement page. So we have, this is good, San Jose University Gardens is our actual session that we're planned, right? So then it talks about, organizing a strike, which is generally good. Like, this is Balloon Hands. I don't know exactly who Balloon Hands is or why they're their moderator, but then Holiday Holdout. So this is obviously not us.
Yeah.
Defend the Bay, obviously not us. This is us right here, the structure and voting form, which is what we're talking about right now. Election Rigging Response Act. That's obviously something democratic. This is just outreach, which is good. This is our calendar. So some of this is, so it's like a mix of stuff.
Talk about this.
Yeah.
Like, as far as bulletin goes, we should be posting relevant things and not just random things, but relevant to our organization.
For sure. Yeah. So having it be relevant is certainly good. I'm not like docking or anything. I mean, I think it's generally kind of on both sides, but yes, indeed. So I believe it's in the agenda for today is where I put it. So right here is the breakdown of the results, right? So we had 20 people vote, right? And of those 20 people who voted, 99% of them voted yes on setting up a decision-making protocol. So I hope to talk about that today. 95% voted yes on establishing the main group. So that's what we want to certify as the establishment of the main group as the structural component for centralizing decision-making, which decentralizes power. And the same thing is true like Bitcoin. Like the actual ledger of Bitcoin is centralized. Otherwise, no one would have any idea who has what money, right? So it's a centralized ledger. Then 94% said they want to set up the conflict resolution models. So that's why I've been working on that as well. So those are the only three that got over 90% of the support, right? So for me, that's unbelievable because decision-making, structure, and conflict resolution are exactly the three things that nobody ever wants to talk about. And then we put it out for an actual vote, and guess what? It's number 1, 2, and 3 of all of the voting, right? Because people who can't come to the meetings are like, get your shit together. Make sure decision-making is clear. Make sure you have good structure. Make sure you have conflict because there's a lot of conflict. Like, that's what people want. They want us to be organized. Right? So
I was confused by the results of like the ranking of priorities because like remember I told you like it just seemed like no one agreed on anything.
Yeah.
Like the fives, like no one was using fives. So like I'm just kind of surprised this is the quote unquote results. Like,
but I mean, some people are voting fives, and you can see the results. There's some people who vote fives.
Okay. Because like the five was like so low, and I was
the five is the highest, right?
No, I mean like as far as the volume of fives being used.
Oh yeah.
I remember like 4 was the most used. According to the results of the survey at the end, I could see the graphs.
Yeah.
And I remember I think 2 were very high in 4s, like drastically high. And I was like, okay. And then the 5s were like, 1/4 of the bar.
It's possible that because I changed the 5s out, because it said 5 yes and 1 no, and we have to change out the 5 and the 1, it's possible that it doesn't log correctly, right? So that might be the reason why it doesn't come out correctly in the thing, right? So
okay.
So anyways, I mean, for me, the voting looks relatively normal. The one that got the most, I think, was 80%, which was decision-making and sociocracy. 79% outreach. So those are the only ones that were like almost 80. Nothing else got even close except for the decision-making and structural things. Which I'm
glad that we're on consensus about important things to focus on. That makes me happy. I just am excited to get past this point because I thought this is foundational.
I know. I've been trying to do this since I first got involved, which has been almost a year. And I've been pushing it over and over and over and over again. And it's like finally today is certification day. So I'm very excited about reviewing this and certifying it and seeing if there's actually agreement to building this structure. But there's also a lot of pushback. So for some of the pushback that I'm preparing for today is that, well, there's all the conflict and, potentially wanting to ban me for like, I don't even know what reason.
Wait, so is this a real topic? Because Bubbles stated that she wasn't talking about banning. Are there other individuals who are talking about it? Like, what is going on there?
I mean, Bubbles can say whatever she wants to, but I can interpret it however I want to, and I interpret it that she said, quote, I feel he, meaning me, Jay, is using us as some kind of therapy, and I am ready to ban him.
Oh, I did not. I mean, that's all the way back in August.
No.
Maybe that was like
August. Oh, yeah, this was August 31st. Huh.
being careless. Maybe she was being careless in her venting.
Huh, maybe that is where I confused, is that I'm reading this, but this is from August and not recently. Because she told me to come
Yeah,
here. All right, so maybe that's why I'm confused, that this is actually relating to something else from the past. So
yeah,
that could be my mistake then, if that was from August and basically her new thing is not about banning me. That is just about this. Okay.
yeah. She's
Thank
probably in a
God.
different
Okay.
frame of mind right now.
Yeah.
She's probably past those
Yeah.
emotions.
Well, this is why it's so important to be like talking and not focusing on um, online communications.
I was surprised that she didn't even agree to like just have a discussion about it, like a civil discussion. Like I don't understand because
I
I
mean, I
was
said I
waiting
was
for you guys.
available
Like, yeah.
anytime. Yeah.
So she just never said anything after that, as far as having a discussion regarding like quote unquote conflict.
For sure, for sure. But I'll tell her right now that basically that when I was sent to the moderation tab and I read through it all, that I saw that, but it was dated earlier, right? So I'll make sure that she knows that.
But so remember I told you yesterday that I was scratching my head about
Yeah,
Bubble's posts regarding the issue,
yeah.
and she just had all these different posts. The first post was, "We will not have any moderators," and then she began to post about moderators, and
Huh.
I was like, "What?"
Yeah,
We
I
have
mean,
made a team that's going to moderate, even though in the post before, literally the previous post, she said, we will not have moderators. And then she's saying that she's going to create a team of moderators. So I'm just like, you seem pretty, like, she seems pretty confused about what she's talking about.
yeah, it does kind of go back and forth, but I mean, overall, I think she does pretty good in general. For me, it's just like understandable. You know.
I don't know. I feel if she's in the position to have influence and quote unquote forms of leadership, someone of that position should have a clear mind, and mixed messaging and unclear like unclarity is like not what you want in a person in that place. And I understand
Yeah,
it's
but
decentralized,
it's
no
like,
one's perfect.
do you want to take that role? You're talking about leaving, so it's like I don't know if you want to take that role. So she's the only one who's willing to do it. So it's like, I mean, for me, the problem is the idea of just having the role in the first place. It should just be a group of people, or it should be like two minimal co-chairs, or do something that has multiple people. Like instead of one.
I agree with that. Why don't we have multiple chairs,
Yeah,
like two or three chairs,
exactly.
maybe three chairs even,
Yeah, so we could
or
suggest
not,
that. And I think
or even
that
four
Bubbles
chairs.
would
I don't know,
love.
like how many chairs do we need?
Exactly. I think Bubbles would love to have more people step up into the leadership role, which would be great. And for me, what I want to do eventually is get rid of the whole vetting. The reason why I am not allowed to be a leader in the organization is because I'm not quote vetted or whatever, because I don't support private secret communications, and they refuse to vet me publicly. And I even talked to them, and they at one point they said they would vet me publicly, but then they never did it. So it's like
Wow.
you're not allowed to be a facilitator unless you're quote vetted by some like secret process that they won't tell me about. And I was like, I don't want to be involved in that. I don't have to be involved in that. There's nothing in any rule anywhere that says you have to be blah blah blah. You know, like
Right.
it's like I don't like
I mean,
the whole vetting process. It's really
you,
weird. It doesn't make sense to me. The whole idea that we are screening people to create this like echo chamber.
I mean, like you said, you understood why they're doing it from a place of fear.
Yeah.
And, you know, why can't we work with those confines where we're not going to dox people, but you need to have transparent communication? I think that's
Yeah. And the answer
you
is
have
that
to
Northern
separate.
California, right? In Northern California, we can do whatever we want, right? We have the power to do anything we want. We can create our own Discord server. We control our own communications. We can do anything we want separate from national. right? And so that's what we're doing. And so it's just a matter of building consensus and getting agreement on it, which is the hard part. So in 45 minutes, we're going to have another session. It would be good to get a break in between this and that session, and we'll just see what happens and where people want to go. So this is once a month we'll
Yeah,
do these main group sessions.
that's I mean, continuing on what we just talked about, and we'll end it in like 1 minute. But like, that's a bone I have too. Like, I agree with your bone that because transparency does not mean you have to just reveal people's identities. Like, I think those are two separate things. What is the relation between transparency of communication and decisions and doxing people? There's no, I don't see what the
Exactly.
issue is.
That's why I get banned over and over and over again because they consider the idea of public organizing to be doxing when it's not. And when you have
Yeah,
two
that's
consenting adults who agree to be public, even if we want to share our identities and share our images and face to the world, that is not doxing. Doxing is when you purposely endanger someone who doesn't want their information shared publicly, who did not agree to be in a transparent recorded session, right? You can't dox someone who has agreed to and consented to be recorded and broadcast.
but that's not even the point here. We're talking about making the decisions transparent.
Exactly.
And in any way, even if they were so disorganized, like you said, they didn't document anything.
Mm-hmm.
They can still like think about all the decisions that they made and like just try to come up with something. It can't be that hard because there hasn't been a lot of progress, in my opinion, from what I've seen, aside from just existing.
Exactly. I totally agree.
So I'm on your side as far as the logic goes. Like, what is there to hide? Like, I think they might be just hiding their inabilities.
And the power structures. When you have everything's transparent, it's so easy to verify everything. That's one of the things I love about transparent organizing is that when you actually make everything transparent, it is verifiable for the first time. It's the only way. Like it's just like Bitcoin. You can verify every single transaction to the detailed second to 100 decimal levels, right?
You
And
know,
and it's all because it's transparent. And the same thing, like the problem with our society right now is that truth is gone. Anyone can lie and say whatever the hell they want
yes,
to, and no one can question anything because it's all just irrelevant. It's just chaos. And the answer to
right.
that is transparent, public, decentralized organizing. Because once you do that, every single decision, every single moment, everything can be verified in real time.
Should we make it a priority to get down to the bottom of this?
The bottom of what?
Like the untransparency, the
No, I mean that 90%
pushback.
of people are going to, or 99% of people want private communications, especially in this particular type of industry across the entire world. We're not talking about the United States, we're talking about everywhere. It's just normal everyday communication is private, right? It's secret. So when you're building a public system, my goal is creating a single public organization. That's the coalition, right? Just one organization that has enough people, enough functionality that you can actually have a, you know,
No, but I'm saying
a
like you're
beacon.
saying that it's not even going to be possible. Like they will never concede or agree to.
It's not that it's not possible. It's that have you seen or read the guide to public transparent organizing? Right. So
I not.
public transparent organizing guide. Introduction. So introduction to
But
public
before Jay, before we go any
decentralized.
further, I want us to get some rest. I know you need some rest because I
Well, we
think
still
you need
have
it more than
40
I do.
minutes. Let's go like another 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll stop.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll put this in the notes and also paste it in the chat here. But basically, the idea is that when you're organizing publicly, it creates an entirely different ecosystem.
It even feels different.
It feels different. What you can say is different. The whole experience is different. So the way to think about it is oil and water. Public and private do not mix. They will never mix. And they should never mix. Right? So they're totally separate systems. It's the same thing as like you have nonprofit organizations and you have for-profit organizations, right? If you have a nonprofit organization, you cannot mix that money with a for-profit. It is illegal, right?
Yeah.
Nonprofits and for-profits do not mix. Can they work in parallel? Can they have coalitions? Can they collaborate? Yes. So you can have private organizations and public organizations can collaborate. You can have people who are like liaisons between both. So you can have certain people who both do public and private and liaison, and you can work in parallel and you can collaborate, right? So there's no problem collaborating, but it's like oil and water. They do not mix because of the whole system. Like think about it. In a private organization where everything's private or secret and everything documented cannot be shared. And in the public organization, it's exactly the opposite. Everything is automatically shared. So if you are a person who doesn't feel safe in a public environment where things are recorded, you will never feel safe there. And the same thing is true if you feel safe in a public environment, you're never going to feel safe in a private environment, right?
I see what you're saying when you were talking about the analogy of nonprofits and for profits. You're saying that we should, even though we are for transparency, we can collaborate with them, even though they want to be private.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's basically just a matter of, you know, personal consent and personal interest. So each individual just has to decide for themselves, right? But there's plenty of people in the world who are willing to share things publicly. I mean, that's what social media is. So we just need to create our own social media, connect to our own, groups, and just slowly build a team of Spartans, like you're talking about, and people who want to collaborate and just make it happen. It's just a matter of doing it, and it's just like, I've been talking about this for so long, and it's just like no one thinks it's possible. No one thinks it makes any sense. Everyone's always like, "Oh, why would anyone want to do that?" Anything like that, and it's just like, why not do
Seriously?
it? Everything that I've done, I've been doing for decades, and I can't convince anyone to support. Everyone in my life are just like, "What are you doing? Why are you even trying this? You should throw it all and flush it down the toilet." Right? No
Yeah,
matter
that's
what I've done.
ridiculous. Like, the way I see it is, if you're not going to try it, why bother living?
Exactly. Of course. So, anyways, it's just a matter of finding people who think in that similar way, like we do, of just like going for it. But yeah. So I'm excited. I've been working on this for a long time. I wanted to kind of give you an update. We were even talking about doing a orientation. So let's save that for before. But I think the most important thing we could do is schedule our like a weekly session that we can invite people to, and then we can put that on the general
Yeah.
strike Discord, and then we can invite people to the public Discord, and we can invite people to the public strike coalition, right?
So, would you be interested in doing once a week or both? I think we decided on health and strike coalition. So health coalition and strike coalition once a week, and then I can set aside, those 2 days a week, and that will be comfortable for me. And once we do that for a little bit, and if I see that I have more capacity, I can even ramp it up to more than that. But at this point in time, I'm comfortable with those 2 meetings per week.
Cool. So the answer is yes. The way to think about it is that the first meeting is always the public, transparent main session, and a main session is a meeting where anyone can join, right? And if you get more than 10 people, then you split up into groups and you build consensus, or 10 20 people or whatever. And the reason why that is important is because the first meeting needs to be where everyone's invited to, right? Because if there's nowhere people can come, then it doesn't make any sense, right? It's no longer an open organization. So if you can only meet once a week, your your role, it would be a participant. Does that make sense? Right?
Yes.
So you're participating in the sessions, participating in decision making, participating in the experience, but you're not necessarily going to buddy team sessions and doing work. So you might take on some work and do a little work on your own and bring it back to the session on your own. But if you ever want to schedule for buddy team sessions, those would be additional sessions, which would be smaller, right? I think in many ways the open sessions where you dialogue and make decisions, and all that is the funnest part, right? Where you have more people and you're inviting people and you're hearing different perspectives. So I think it's a really good place to start as a participant and collaborate. And then I can sort of, give updates on all the work happening in the back end and what everything else going on each week. And we can just keep it going like that. Does that sort of make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
That's
So,
perfect.
so what we have currently is We do weekly co-op. We do monthly peace sessions. So we're talking about setting up a strike, a health, and a coalition. We need the coalition meeting because the coalition is where all the spokes come together. And that's also where all the umbrella value is and the whole vision. And it also is like when we talk about, like another one that's really important is support, right? So support, me and you are on the same page that it's not just mutual support, mutual aid, it's also mutual benefit and actual supporting and life support where you're helping anyone with anything for whatever they want to because they're a person, because they're a consciousness, right? And not because they're starving, right? If you only help people who are starving, then you're never going to prevent people from being starving, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, so the coalition can be like the blank slate for anything that we don't have scheduled, right? It's like anything and everything fits into the coalition, and the coalition is like the umbrella of the whole vision. And so we should have a meeting once a month for the bigger system, discuss the decentralized systems or whatever. We should schedule that. And then we have the health and the strike one, which could be weekly. You said once a week for health and once a week for strike?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's, so I would say that the coalition would be monthly. And then we do weekly health, weekly strike, and then support we're just gonna do as part of the coalition for now, okay? And not do support.
Okay.
So co-ops are currently Thursdays at 12 o'clock noon, every Thursday. The peace is the third Sunday at 6 a.m. No, 6 a.m. And then you have at 5 p.m. is the strike for the California strike, general strike. So we talked about doing the weekly strike Tuesdays at 3.
Okay, yes.
Okay, 3 p.m. Tuesdays. And then what about health and coalition?
Let's do health on Fridays and coalition on Mondays.
But not every Monday. This
The coalition is Monday. Oh, okay, never mind. That's monthly.
Monthly, yeah. But we could do it like the first or whatever Monday of the month, right?
Okay, yeah, that sounds good.
At what time?
So is this for? So remember we were talking about setting up a time where it's conducive for more participants, or is this just us?
Like the way that we operate everything is everything's democratic, everything's collaborative, everything's open, everything's democracy, right? So right now, but it all starts with whoever's present, and we're the ones who are present. So we just set the time, we send out the voting forms, and then we can change the time for when we want to meet anytime we want to. But first we need to get it set up and going, and then over time the times can evolve and change based on who can't make the session. So we want to track how many people are interested, how many people can't make the session, and how many people can make the session. Usually you're going to have more people who can't make it than who can.
So let's do 3 o'clock as well then, if it's just us for now.
Okay, so 3 p.m. So we'll start everything at 3 p.m. Friday at 3 p.m.
Sure.
Cool. All right, awesome. So first Monday, 3 p.m. for the overall coalition. And then the health is Friday, 3 p.m. strike, that peace, third Sunday co-op. Perfect. All right, this is all beautiful, very, very good. I think this is a good overall initial framework, and then it can slowly evolve over time. Nice. And just so you know, the model that I do is that we just invite everybody, and then as you have a space where everyone can show up, then if you get a lot of people from one group, then you can, okay, let's spin off a group just for California. Okay, let's spin off a group just for Bay Area. So it's like first you invite everybody, and then as you get more and more people, then you break apart with the groups who are smaller and more localized, but you don't ban or prevent anyone from coming,
Wait, what does that say for weekly co-op? Thursday 12? What does that say?
Thursdays 12 noon is every week for the co-op meeting.
Okay, 12 noon, got it.
Yeah, that's our co-op session. Coolio, awesome. All right, so yes, this is gonna be interesting, and this is let's just start with this, and then everything could change. Like people might be like, oh, this is too much. Maybe we should only have health meetings once every month, and then we have the big meeting once a month, and then we can do weekly buddy team sessions to do work and actually get details done, because we don't actually have to have main sessions every single week, So
Right.
that's another option.
For the co-op Thursday noon session,
That's tomorrow.
would you be able to send a link for me? I might not be able to make the beginning, but I can probably make like the middle or if not early, like because I have something going on between 11 and 12, and it's gonna seep into that time. But I would like to catch some of it.
Sure. Yeah. We approved the Oracle and the AOI.
No, yes, that's awesome.
Yes. No, it's called the AIO. Yeah. So we are now officially in AIO, the whole network, and it's very exciting, and we're already initiating that process. So
what's AIO stand for again? What is it called again?
The AIO is the I can't even remember.
So, it's okay.
No, I have it here. I have it here. It's so cool. It's called the.
Oh.
It's part of the identity. Adaptive. It's called the adaptive. It's not even on here. That's so funny.
Adaptive Identity Organization. I saw it. But yeah.
Yes, Adaptive Identity Organization. So let me send you the link here. This is the form for identity. So on this form, you can basically document. The first step is the individual identity. So right now you fill this out for yourself. So you say the name of the person filling out the form is you. And then why are you filling out this form? You're filling out for yourself to present your own identity and your own vision and your own mission and your own values.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically the goal is the first step of this 6-month process, right? It happens like once or twice a year, is that every single individual inputs their own values, their own visions, their own missions, their own goals, and then that's all collectively brought together to synthesize the collective collaborative, because we're constantly adapting. So every new person who comes in is adapting the whole relationship of all the other people who are involved in the organization. And so it's constantly evolving and adapting, right? And then after we do the individual level, then we'll do the team level, where then we start thinking about, okay, well, what is the overall vision and the mission of the team, and what is our purpose as a collective, and then we combine all of that together to build the organizational levels and then the whole network levels and everything else. So the whole entire network will be completely adaptive based on every individual. It's really cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
Jay, why don't you get some rest?
Yeah. So let's take a 30-minute break.
I
will see you soon. Great session today. Quick but good. All right. Ciao.
Ciao.